Has Panini stolen yet another card design? That's going to be the purpose of today. I'm going to really need your help getting to the bottom of this, so stay tuned and we'll get straight into it. Now, before I jump into the new cards that look like they've been copied, I just want to clarify, Panini have done this sort of stuff in the past, right? As you can see here, if you remember back to September 2021, we did a video on the channel and you can sort of see that, they've copied this downtown card. Essentially, these characters on the back of this Justin Herbert downtown card, you can't see my mouse, were taken from this artist named Bobby Rubio. I can't recall what the specific outcome was of this. I think he was compensated, but again, a very alarming situation. So Panini almost have form in this area, as do other card manufacturers, to be, correct, right? Now, one thing I do want to flag is that this was brought to my attention through a subscriber. He basically was surfing around on Comscene and saw two cards. He saw this 2012-13 Flea Retro, which was essentially a homage back to 96-97 Flair Showcase. To give some context, Flea produced Flair, Updeck now own Flea, if I remember correctly. And it has to do, in terms of what's been copied, this background here, which is referred to as Escher squares. Now, this has been used on many different cards, and I believe the earliest it was through Updeck via Flea. Now, my subscriber, as I said, was scrolling through Comscene, happened to see this 2021 National Lionel Messi card number to 10. It's also got Escher squares in the background, and his question was, Daniel, is this a copyright? Is this card been copied again? Like, what's going on? Have they copied this like they did that downtown card? And I said, that's pretty interesting. After doing a bit of digging, Panini have been using this design since 2016, and there's a few different things that could be going on here, right? So before I jump into my thoughts on this, I want to quickly show you again how you can sort of see the similarities of the cards themselves. Now, apologies if you can hear my dog barking in the background, but look at this space here where my mouse is. Like, we've got that cross section and then this sort of corner portion going out, right? You can see that same sort of thing over here, and it looks very, very similar. The refractor on the Panini versions look a bit more intense, which is maybe why you don't see some of this detail, but you can very clearly tell they are essentially the same design, right? And there are a multitude of reasons why this might be the case, okay? Could Panini have bought the rights to this design from, Flea? True, that could have happened, right? Could they have leased it from Upper Deck? That's also true. Have they just copied it? That's also a potential. And those are the kinds of things that I'm hoping you guys can help with, because I'm, by all means, not an expert in this space. And by all reports from what I've seen, it doesn't look like Upper Deck have shared that with Panini. It almost looks like a copied design. Now, given the fact that Panini have been using this since 2016, as I think I touched on a bit earlier, you'd imagine that somebody out of Upper Deck probably would have noticed this. So it seems a bit strange that that's not the case. One other potential possibility here is that the actual design for Escher squares, as in the process of having that kind of refractor, is not so much a design by an artist and something you can copyright. It might just be, something to do with the structure of the card, i.e. how the card's printed itself. It might be a design like that. And that goes to things like superfractors, right? Because people have commented in the past, and the reason why I'm making this comparison, you'll see in a second, people have said, Panini have gold vinyl cards, but then Topps have, superfractors. They look the same. How are they not copying each other? Well, the thing that needs to be kept front of mind here is that, the design for gold vinyl, the design for a superfractor is essentially this material here, which is, readily available on things like eBay and is referred to as, engine turned, or as you can sort of see here, engine turned vinyl essentially. So obviously this is not something you can copyright because it's an engine turn finish. You see it on watches, you see it on cars all the time. It's obviously a thing. So could Escher squares essentially be the same thing? Probably. And again, I'm really keen to get your insights on this because, if it's not into the same vein as the engine tone stuff we see there with the gold vinyl or super refractors, if Panini haven't bought the rights from Upper Deck or Flea to get the use of that, if they have not leased it, or if the copyright over that design has not lapsed, then it looks like they've copied yet another design. And I'm really keen to get some insight again from people out there that are the experts in this space, because this stuff goes over my head with regards to how it all sort of works in the back end. And I think those explanations I just gave, they're very valid, right? Each of them are very, very valid. I'd like to think that Panini haven't copied this, but again, given what we saw with regards to this downtown situation and this Bobby Rubio art, that's not necessarily out of the realm of possibility either. So again, please listen to what I had to say. Have a think about it. Go and do some research yourself, and let me know, because by all reports, it looks like they've copied, yet another design, which is a pretty big deal in my opinion. Now, I might do a bonus video tomorrow talking about this whole card porn lawsuit once again. There's been an update in the last couple of days, or I might just talk about it in my weekly news video, so keep an eye out for that. But essentially, to give you, a very quick update, if you recall, there's that lawsuit with regards to that, LeBron James rookie card. I'll put something up on the screen now. You can go back and watch my initial video on the situation. It looks like the lawyers for the people suing card porn have said, there's enough information here to suggest you have been defamatory towards these people. We give you permission to sort of go after or go towards Instagram to work out who the owner of this account is. So it looks like we are going to find out who the owner of the card porn account is. And I've got lots of thoughts on this. As I said in my original video, it's not too difficult to work out who the owner is. It didn't look like anything they said was, liable or defamatory. So it's going to be an interesting case, to be honest, because it has some pretty big ramifications for some of these, other channels like myself and a few others that do like to call people out for being scammers or scumbags. It's almost going to be like a watch this space kind of thing. So I'll probably share my thoughts on that in a bonus video at some point tomorrow. But as always, thank you for watching. Please share your thoughts on this down in the comments below. As I will say once again, this whole Panini copycat thing looks pretty serious. Again, there could be a valid reason, but guys, we've seen these mistakes in the past. I do not trust any of these businesses within the hobby. It's unfortunate, but as I've said many, many times, so many of these companies within the trading card hobby are so used to operating in a market. Yes, they've always made a lot of money, but the money made 5, 10, 15 years ago pales in comparison to what we've seen in the last 2 to 3 years. So from a risk appetite perspective, because I'm an external auditor, as I explain all the time, I can look at these business processes and these mistakes, and seeing these mistakes and what Panini has in place and what these manufacturers have in place and all these businesses within the hobby, they've still got that mindset and that risk appetite from 10, 15 years ago when there wasn't as much money in the hobby. You can't get away with mistakes like this anymore. And it just speaks to a really poor business process once again. So I just went on a mini rant, even though I wrapped up the video already, so I do apologize. They could have an answer to this. It could be perfectly valid. At the same time, based on what we've seen in the hobby, this could be another major F up by these businesses. And again, why are we surprised? We should be over being surprised right at this point. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Apologies for the stutter. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.